What are the SDGs? In 2015, world leaders from 193 countries agreed the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, the world's new action plan for the next 15 years to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger, fight inequality, tackle climate change and achieve sustainable development for all. The SDGs follow the Millennium Development Goals, or MDGs, agreed in 2000 in a global coordinated attempt to tackle development issues. As a result, the number of people living in extreme poverty has declined by more than half compared to 1990. More girls and boys go to primary school than ever before, and far more people have access to water and essential medicines. But progress of the MDGs has been mixed. Today, over 800 million people still live in extreme poverty. They are also most vulnerable to the increasing impacts from climate change and environmental degradation. Years of hard-won progress fighting poverty could easily be wiped out by even small conflicts, economic crises, or natural disasters. Also, Sub-Saharan Africa and Southern Asia consistently achieved less progress than other regions. The MDGs measured success on national averages, often missing what happened with marginalised groups like people with disabilities, indigenous groups, rural communities and women. The international community recognised the new challenges and that human prosperity must go hand in hand with protecting the planet. After a 3-year participatory process, world leaders finally adopted 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So what are these goals for? They are end poverty for all, freedom from hunger, health and well-being, quality of education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, sustainable energy for all, decent work and economic development, innovation and resilient infrastructure, reducing inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, sustainable consumption and production, action on climate change, healthy oceans, sustainable ecosystems, peace and justice, global partnerships. There are 4 underlying principles that come with the SDGs and that are transformational in the way we work on development in the future. Firstly, the SDGs are universal. They apply to every country, rich and poor, north and south, developed and developing. They recognise that global challenges like tackling climate change and changing models of development require global solutions. Domestic policies that look at these issues in one country will have an impact on other parts of the world, so we need to coordinate. Secondly, they integrate all dimensions of sustainability: economic development, social progress and environmental protection. For example, they tell us to grow enough food for all without destroying the soil or overusing water, to develop our economies without increasing inequality, or to produce enough electricity for all without pumping more CO2 into the atmosphere. This is similar to what Pope Francis says in his encyclical. We are faced not with 2 separate crises, one environmental and the other social, but rather with one complex crisis, which is both social and environmental. Strategies for a solution demand an integrated approach to combating poverty, restoring dignity to the excluded, and at the same time protecting nature. The SDGs tell us we should leave no one behind. Governments have agreed no goal should be met unless it is met for everyone, including those in society most vulnerable and hardest to reach. So education must reach Indigenous communities, jobs created for women and men, quality healthcare available for all rural communities, and water and sanitation facilities accessible for people living with disabilities. Tackling exclusion is the key to tackling inequality. And finally, the SDGs require the participation of all. The process to agree the SDGs took years and included national dialogues, consultations with civil society groups, the private sector and academia, and ended with negotiations between all governments at the UN. There's a strong sense of ownership of these goals. The result is ambitious, but it reflects what the world wants. Today, the implementation of the SDGs requires ongoing participation at a national and local level. All stakeholders have a role towards their successful achievement. Taken together with the Paris Climate Change Agreement and the Pope's encyclical Laudato Si', the SDGs provide a new framework for approaching sustainable development.